High school football is back. For the next half hour, our Cake Sports team breaking down everything Kansas high school football as the countdown to kickoff is down to just 30 minutes. Every team in the Sunflower State wants to go the distance, and it all starts right now.
This is Cake Sports First and 10, presented by Wendy's. Now, here's Cake Sports Director Chase Shannon.
And welcome everybody to our First and 10 special. Kickoff is upon us, and we've got so much to talk about. On the show, we sit down with Heights head coach Terry Harrison as his Falcons have huge expectations for this fall. Plus, the story about a McPherson bullpup you cannot miss. But before all of that, it was a banner year in Cakeland in 2016. Our very own Austin Clift takes us on a trip down memory lane to show us how it all ended last November.
In the 6A ranks, it was a rematch of the undefeateds, Derby taking on Overland Park Blue Valley in Emporia for his second straight year after trailing at the half. For the first time all season, the Panthers came back to win their second straight title with a last-second field goal, wrapping up the season at 13-0. Goddard making their first appearance in the 5A state title game since 1988. The matchup with Mill Valley was electric. The Lions and Jags would go to double overtime after a drive on the goal line that would have won the game for Goddard resulted in a fumble. The Jags go on to win it 35-34. Buhler would look to shut down a three-peat for Bishop Miege. The Stags had other plans, putting up 46 points unanswered until the Crusaders ended the shutout late in the third quarter. Miege would go on to win a third straight 4A D1 title, 53-21. Pratt raced their way into their first state title in more than 20 years with a convincing 48-14 win over Topeka Hayden. The Greenbacks completed their season 13-1. Heston and Rossville battled it out in Hutch for the 3A title. The Bulldogs rallied late in the fourth quarter to force overtime. The Swathers unable to put points on the board in OT, and Rossville would come away with a 3A three-peat. In 2A, 1A, Troy picked up their first state title with a 28-24 win over Plainville. And in the 8-man ranks, Osborne and Hanover wrapped up perfect seasons with state championships of their own. Who will hoist the trophies in 2017? Only time will tell.
Time will tell indeed, and two hopefuls getting after it tonight. This is kind of the Bama, Florida State of Kansas high school football. By the way, you can watch that game right here on Cake this Saturday. Austin Clift, who we just heard from, he's live for us at Northwest High School. Those Grizzlies and Bishop Carroll Eagles are certainly excited for this one. Am I right, Austin?
Yeah, absolutely, Chase. Now, these teams really begin their prep for week one mentally as soon as the previous season ends, and the Grizzlies and Golden Eagles have kicked off the season against each other for the last 4 years straight, so certainly plenty of time to prep for one another. Now, let's take a look at how these two are doing as we enter tonight. The Golden Eagles enter the 27 season with a new man at the helm for the first time in 22 years. That man, however, is no stranger to Bishop Carroll football. Dusty Trail has been offensive coordinator under Alan Shuckman since 1995, so it's no surprise that he has no plans to reinvent the wheel this season.
You're not going to see a lot of big changes. It's kind of one of those things, if it's not broke, don't fix it, So you're going to see regular Bishop Carroll football. We're going to spread the ball around on offense, and defensively, we're getting 11 guys to the football and trying to be aggressive.
Over at Northwest, head coach Steve Martin entering his sixth season as head coach. The Grizzlies have boasted a winning record in each of those 6 years. They return senior quarterback Austin Anderson and a high-powered offense, along with 8 defensive starters who they'll lean on to stop high-scoring City League opponents week after week.
We looked at some things. We went out and got a new defense coordinator with some new ideas and stuff. I was spread too thin and on the field, and I got a guy that I can trust in Coach Cron, and my hands have been off, and that's kind of the things we've done. You're going to see an aggressive defense out of those guys, and offensively, hopefully we continue to score points.
Now, will Carroll pick up their first opening night win since 2014, or will the Grizzlies roll on to their third straight win over the Golden Eagles? We will find out tonight on Cake Sports at 10. For now, live at Northwest High, Austin Clift, Cake Sports.
I cannot wait for this game. Okay, here's how the City League finished last year. A three-way tie between Heights, Carroll, and Northwest. Keep in mind, the records shown here are overall records, not league records. South had a big season. West, they're really trying to get a top 3 finish this year. Then you have East, Capon, Southeast, and North. And speaking of Southeast, the Golden Buffaloes joining Carroll, South, and North as City League clubs with new head coaches. Eric Dobbins has taken over the herd. He's got a lot of talent and speed. It's been a long time since the golden years of the Golden Buffaloes, but Dobbins' goal is to restore their former glory.
I believe we have the athletes to do that. I believe we have the leadership to do that too as well. But it's going to take baby steps. It's not going to be an overnight miracle. So we're going to have to take it one game at a time. You know, we're going to have to go 1-0 every Friday. We can't focus on the future, but we cannot focus on the past, because football has changed since 1976.
Dan Adelhart has plenty of experience over at Capon. His Crusaders, though, had a year to forget in 2016. It was their first losing season since 2012. All that said, 14 starters return, including running back Nick Channel, one of the tops in the City League. It's been since week 3 last fall since they've won a game, but that dry spell could all end tonight against Southeast.
I told the kids in the spring, I said I kind of felt like we were going to a gunfight with a knife. I mean, we were just so young. You know, we were there at the end, and we fought and we competed against really tough teams, but we just didn't get over the hump, and we didn't execute at the right time. And a lot of those kids are back. And so that's motivation in itself. They know how close we were, but they know that nothing's going to be given to them. They've worked really hard, and I'm starting to see some really good leadership and kids who don't want to be denied.
Still ahead, the incredible story of a McPherson bullpup who got to showcase his skills in front of his entire town. Plus, Terry Harrison has so much talent over at Heights. Could they make a run at the 5A title? We sit down with him for an extended interview. But first, stand up for the champions. Back-to-back, those Derby Panthers gunning for a three-peat. We're previewing them and the rest of the top division in the Ark Valley Chisholm Trail League. Number 2. One of the coolest traditions around, Derby Night Lights. Youngsters from 2nd grade all the way up getting to take the field with their Friday night heroes. That was 1 week ago tonight. You gotta love it. When the Panthers take the field tomorrow, they're gonna put a 23-game winning streak on the line. That's the longest winning streak in the state right now. It's like watching a college when Derby takes the field. They are a well-oiled machine. You saw it in the Derby Night Lights video. These guys just continue to reload year after year after year. They do have a lot of departing talent from last year's team, but a whole new crop is stepping up and ready to go, and they're also ready to try to defend their 2 straight state titles.
I got to play hard every game and give it my all, and we got to try to win every game and leave it all out in the field this year. It's my last year.
Oh, we talk about championships all the time. Each day is a championship. You know, we're not talking about the state title. We're talking about winning the day. And we just had a championship in the weight room earlier this morning. We had a championship out here on practice too. So if we continue to win these little championships, you know, the rest will just take care of itself.
Hutch surely wants another shot at the Panthers. After all, Derby, the only team to beat the Salthawks last season, and they did it twice. Still, despite a great season, there could be more to be excited about this fall in Salthawk country. It's the 4th year under their head coach, and that could provide huge dividends as they try to recreate their past dominance, which starts tonight at Olathe East.
I think they kind of take, you know, we kind of create a personality about our program, and they understand what the expectations are, and they, you know, the routine's the same year in, year out. So I think it allows us to make adjustments and do things a little bit more advanced early in the season than what we have done in the past. So it's always nice when you have a group that's been coming through for 4 years and you know, allows you to make those changes.
The campus Colts are on the upswing. Head coach Greg Slade putting together his best season yet at the helm, and there's plenty to be excited about there too, with returning senior quarterback Federico Harvey and guys like Quentin Hicks on the defensive side of the ball. They want to shake some things up in the AVCTL, and this could be their year to do that.
We started out really good last year, and then we didn't finish as good as we started out. So, you know, we've been talking about being hungry and being ready to go, and, you know, to come out and do our best and work as hard as we can. And
it was a year to forget if you're a Salina Central or a Salina South fan. Only one win between the two of them, and that's when South beat Central in Week 8. Hey, someone's got to win. These squads were young, though, and they could have a shot at shocking somebody in the league on Friday nights. We wrap up our AVCTL Division I tour with the Maize Eagles, and what a year it was for Gary Guzman. 7 wins, way better than a one-win season the year prior. They returned star running back Dalen Johnson as well as Braden Payne, who shifts over to wide receiver from quarterback this year. But for a team that is also replacing the 5 up front, they'll have to hunker down there in the trenches.
Probably hear that from every coach, but yeah, it's where it starts. It starts with the offensive line. If those guys can get some blocking up front, protect your quarterback, give him some time to get the ball off, and open some lanes for the running back, then you've got a shot.
Still ahead on our First and 10 preview show. He's done so much for them. Now they're doing something for him. The heartwarming story of the heart and soul of the McPherson Bullpup football team. You don't want to miss that. But first, we're going to chat all things Heights football with the first Falcon, head coach Terry Harrison. That's after the break. All right, we're here at Heights High School with head coach Terry Harrison, entering year 5 at the helm here at the Falcons program. What have you guys been working on this offseason to get yourselves reloaded, revamped, and ready for another great season of Heights football?
Well, just another year of trying to build team chemistry. I felt like that was one of our strong suits last year, and we do bring a lot of kids back, but lost some senior leadership. So, our focus has really been that, building team chemistry and, obviously lifting and running like everyone else.
We were talking to you before the beginning of last season. You were talking about how much youth you guys had and how important it was for these kids to grow up quickly, and it seems like they did just that. You win your first 6 games. What kind of growth did you see out of these youngsters, and now how excited does that make you with a full year of experience under their belt? Yeah,
it's definitely exciting, and last year was going into it. We thought we would be okay, but you never really know until you get out on the field. So, now it's just the times we struggled last year were some in-the-game situations. So, hopefully with all the returners that we do have, we'll be able to maybe handle some adversity later in the games and big games better than we did last season.
I think pretty much everyone in the state and even nationally after some of those clips went viral last year know about Cavante Baker. Now he's a junior, is that correct? Quarterback of this team. What has he done this offseason to perhaps even get better than what we saw last year?
You get a year older, and at that age, it's amazing how much kids grow, and how he's dedicated himself to the weight room. So he's definitely stronger. Ran track for us, a basketball player here. So I think he's faster, and then more than anything, I tell people this all the time, and he's a great teammate. He's probably in the hallways, I don't see him walk by many kids without high-fiving or shaking somebody's hand, and it's amazing how far that goes beyond the speed and athleticism, which is obvious when you watch him play. Just a great teammate, a great student in the building, and just somebody that's proud to be a Falcon.
Yeah, and with Cavante, I think it's rare for a coach, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to have a starter that can end up being a 3 or 4 year starter at quarterback for a program. To have that kind of continuity in such a quick turnover type situation that high school is, what does that mean for a head coach and a quarterback, that relationship that's so important, in football?
Yeah, well, it's rare for the teams that are successful year after year, which is something, we take pride in. It's not been a 1 or 2 year show. We've been good for a long time here. You don't get that opportunity very often to be a 3-year starter. You have to kind of pay your dues and wait your turn. But, ever so often you get in a situation where graduation's hit right, and a young man like Cavante going into his sophomore year becomes your quarterback and your leader. That's scary for a coach, even when you do have an athlete like that. But the thing that happens is the communication becomes so easy and seamless, So he's heard me for a year and how I talk and how I coach, and I've got to be around him and see what kind of coaching he handles best. So that's been, hopefully that's what pays off when you make a commitment to a kid as a sophomore.
And you got, of course, many other returners other than him. I think 13, is that correct? 13 returning starters from last year?
Yeah, it's something in there, very senior heavy. So Cavante obviously, and deservedly has made a lot of plays, but the senior class is ahead of them. Most of those kids started as sophomores because it worked out that way, especially on the defensive side. So, kids like Dalen Williams and Javion Johnson, Austin McCartney, and kids like that have been starting for us for a long time. And, we were 7-4 3 years ago when they were sophomores, and we took some lumps defensively, and those guys, they make it hard on us at practice every day.
DeJuan Scott, a guy that seemed like a big leader for you guys last year even. How important is it for you guys to have him coming back and to be joining Cavante back in that backfield to give you kind of a real versatile option attack when you guys decide to run that style?
Yeah, well, that's what it's important. Like I said, we've already mentioned team chemistry one time, and those guys I know are good friends on and off the field. So I think DeJuan's going to have a great year. Last year we just had so many weapons. People get caught up in stats all the time, and we were really just trying to win games regardless of how those stats fall. So it did get spread around a little more, but I anticipate DeJuan will have the best year of his career. That's the goal.
And yeah, we do get caught up in stats. And so speaking of stats, you guys really like to put points on the board, or at least are really good at putting points on the board. Is that something that, again, we'll see at Heights this season, scoring 50 plus in a lot of these games?
I hope so. That's the plan. But, football's a weird game, and we tell our kids, our mantra this summer has been you can't win this year's games on last year's touchdowns. So, we had a good time last year. It was a lot of fun, and as an offensive play caller, it was fun to have all those options. But at the same time, with our league and in the Class 5A right now, if you sit back and hope people are scared of last year's season, that's just not going to happen. So we'll have to come out and have good practice leading up to the season and get better each week.
Yeah, I think rollover touchdowns would be something cool for games.
We would take them. I'm going to write the state about that.
I'm looking at your schedule right now. You open up with your first 2 games on the road, which I guess is different than what you guys did last year. Road games, big travel, going up to the east side of the state, northeast side of the state. How difficult is that, having to deal with that hurdle in the first week? And how is that kind of a benefit, getting that kind of right off the bat?
Yeah, well, what we like about it, I've never been to Olathe to play football games, so that'll be new for me. But we play Dodge City every year. We always get on a 2-year cycle with them. So what it prepares you for is playoff games. So when you're in a city like Wichita and games can be 10 minutes down the road if you choose every week, you're not ready to get on the road and travel to an Olathe or to Topeka or wherever the playoff, however it works out in the playoffs. So we treat it like that. It's just an opportunity to get experience getting on a bus. And and for our kids, Olathe North is a pretty tradition-rich program. A lot of people around here may or may not know that, but I think they've had 8 state championships in their history. We played them in 2 state championships in the past. So it's a good game for us and something we're glad to be a part of.
The City League, with a lot of turnover at the helms of different programs this year, I think there's 4 new head coaches, and you're one of the vets in this league. What is that, the challenges of being a first-year head coach from your eyes when you were doing this 5 years ago that they're going to have to experience?
Oh, the crazy part is, you hear people say all the time, is this guy ready to be a head coach or not? And I think the answer is always no. I certainly wasn't ready to be a head coach. I think but I think that's the way that job is. I don't think you're ever necessarily ready, because you don't, until you are one, you don't even know what it's like. And, the more you do it, things get easier. The schedules get to become, tradition is what you would call it, and just the way you operate. So it gets easier year after year. But as a first-year head coach, it's just experience is the best way to learn. And it's fun and it's rewarding, but it's definitely a challenging job.
Real quickly, last question. When November comes, where do you want this team to be? What do you want this team to accomplish, and what's really realistic for you guys?
Peaking late. We've had a lot of good years. Like last year being 9-1, going into the quarterfinals. We weren't playing our best football late. We peaked. We felt like somewhere in the middle. And so our goal is to keep. It sounds like coaches talk to get better each week, but we're really building this thing to try to improve and peak late, and play more than 11 games.
All right, excellent. Coach Harrison from the Heights Falcons, we thank him so much for joining us on the First and 10 special. We will have more coming up after the break. The heart and soul of the Bullpup football team is back for one more go-round. He loves the game, he loves his teammates, and he loves McPherson football. And because of that, the program decided to show him just how much he means to his hometown. Ready, go. The Bullpup football team always has the highest of expectations each year. Plenty of seniors ready to make a push for state this fall, including a secret weapon at running back.
I can't catch Ryan. He ran right out of his shoes.
We just say he's a beast. He's a rhino.
Yeah.
Ryan Ronci,
come on, team.
Nicknamed Rhino, working with the Bullpups Club all 4 years of high school and making sure they're ready to go come game day.
Down, set, go, and yell it. Be loud so everybody can hear you.
Down, ready, set, go.
I think Ryan is the soul of our team. He's got a smile on his face every single day. He brings so much energy to this team. We can really bounce off of Ryan. A long day at practice, we can go in, we can see Ryan in the locker room with a big smile on his face, knowing everything's going to be all right.
Ryan has Down syndrome, but it hasn't slowed him down a bit. Getting in there and helping out his teammates and always supplying the motivation.
He's dependable, and he's always in a good mood, so he's always pumping us up, and he's always got a smile on his face.
He's done so much for them over the years, they decided to do something
for him. Last Friday, number 41 taking the field with his teammates.
We got into the huddle. The kids were aware of what was going on, and as soon as we broke the huddle, the kids said, you know we want to get this one in for Ryan.
Ryan Rossi with the carry. He could go all the way, folks. He's to the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown,
The Rhino scoring a touchdown in front of all of McPherson, then showing us all his patented dance moves.
It's been have fun with my friends, have my victory dance. Yeah, it's fun.
His teammates love him just like he loves his teammates. And just like he celebrates every time the Bullpups see the end zone, they celebrate with their secret weapon at running back.
Me touch because I'm a cool boy. I do like girls.
Ryan, an absolute inspiration. He is a cool dude, and he's going to get to lead his team onto the field this year, which will start tomorrow night as they play Buhler. That game's going to be our game of the week tomorrow night. All right, we've made it to kickoff time in Kansas. Tune into Cake News at 10 tonight as we recap the night, then come back tomorrow, of course, for the Friday Football Blitz. Tonight we'll have for you that big Carroll Northwest game you saw Austin live at early. He'll be live there to wrap things up, and that's not the only game this evening. Of course, you have Capon Mount Carmel taking on the Wichita Southeast Golden Buffaloes. That game's over at Carpenter Stadium, and as you can see, we're less than 3 minutes away from kickoff in that one, and then it's a battle of the Hawks up in Olathe. The Hutchinson Salt Hawks taking on the Olathe East Hawks. Hutch out there for a big season this year. We thank you so much for joining us on our Wendy's First and 10 High School Football Preview Show. Now, if you didn't see your school tonight, you can. We've covered dozens of them, and they're all on our website, cake.com. We'll see you back here tonight on Cake News at 10.
For breaking news and your most accurate local forecast, Cake News is on air, online, and on your mobile. Cake News on your side.